One.
Oh,
All right, there will be bourbon. I am the soon to be inebriated host, Eric Bandazeski, and I am with Greg Diacogiannis. No, I said it. I fucked it up. Greg
Diacogiannis.
Diacogiannis.
There we go.
So, yes, I respect the fact that his name is actually harder than mine, I think, for the first time ever. So that's who I'll be talking to tonight. He's a veteran of the Army. He's a two-tour visitor of the beautiful country of Iraq, which we'll get into in a little bit. And then my favorite is how much he absolutely adores sports, notably CrossFit, which we'll probably get into.
Oh, God.
He does not like CrossFit. He is a very strong man, though, and probably would be good at it, which is why I think I need to bring it up at some point. I'm going back to your profile on the Twitters, where I've discovered the good Greg. Is that a Vikings jersey you're wearing?
No, that is University of Washington.
Oh, okay. That's acceptable. All right. Good deal. Because if it was a Vikings jersey and me being a Bears fan, we're just going to end it right now. Okay.
Fair enough.
So before we get into that, of course, I like to make interesting people more interesting with bourbon. And so tonight I will be doing a little Bell Mead Reserve, which is the barrel proof. Comes from the fine people at the Nelson's Greenbrier Distillery in beautiful Nashville, Tennessee. So that is what I will be fueling my discussion with the great Greg. And can we discuss your other thing or not yet? The whole
yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. Well, and then also, you know what? We'll get to that because that's a big deal. I think it's awesome. And yeah, that's definitely something that is going to be pretty fucking cool with you being a part of it now as well. As my camera drops off. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, camera drops off. So yeah, this new version of the Zoom needs to figure itself out. But we'll figure that out tonight. All right, so Greg. All right, man. So no shit, there you were. What made little Greg want to join this man's army?
Well, it was the end of school 2001. So that would have been June 2001. My dad's a teacher. And so every summer he chose how many pages I needed to read. And that summer he said that I needed to read 1,000 pages. Oh, wow. And so this is 2001. So it would have been my sophomore year in high school. And I was just like, oh, this is going to be terrible because I was a pretty terrible reader as a child. So I just went down to the library and looked for the biggest war book that I could find. And General Schwarzkopf's autobiography was like right there. And I was like, oh, this is like 700 and some odd pages. Let's go.
Guy was a writer.
Dude, amazing. So growing up, I always wanted to be a pilot and thought I'd join the Air Force if we ever went to war. And that's what I always said pretty much since like kindergarten. And then I read that autobiography and I was like, the Air Force sounds stupid. I should definitely join the infantry one day. And a few months later, 9/11 happens and off we go.
So you were right out of high school.
Yeah. So
you're a few years behind me. So yeah, I was 99.
Yeah, I graduated in 03.
03. Okay. Yeah. So you're 4 years behind it. Damn. So you went right in. That's cool though. So what was 9/11 like for you then, since you were probably freshman year, sophomore year, give or take?
Sophomore year. So my dad, he drove like 45 minutes an hour or so to school. And so we lived in Washington at the time. Okay. So that would have been, 6:30. He probably left the house. And so half hour into his drive.
Had a totally different experience.
Completely different. So he calls my mom because he listened to conservative radio all the time. So mom kind of like got us to like the computer, but this is like 2003. Computers and internet's pretty crappy, and so we're like listening to the radio, and we didn't have TV growing up. My parents shut off normal TV, so we only watched movies. I grew up in a pretty tradcon family growing up, so we just had the radio, and we lived 5 minutes from the Canadian border, so it was even like more like tense because the border shut down, and then all of a sudden DHS wasn't even really around then, so it was like actual border patrol. So it was kind of crazy
of the Bush administration. Conservatives, they're supposed to make things smaller, but that didn't happen. Whatever. Anyway,
did not happen.
Okay, so go ahead.
So that kind of just like obviously jarred everybody. And I think I almost knew in that moment, probably that day, I was like, oh man, this is it. Like, when can I graduate high school so I can join the army?
That's awesome. So that was your reaction. Did you have any siblings?
Yeah, I'm the oldest of 12.
Oldest of fucking 12. Holy shit.
Yeah,
How
so
old's the
10 of
youngest?
us. Let's see, she is going to be a sophomore at Boise State. So I have 10 biologicals, or I guess 9 biological siblings,
Okay.
and then 2 sisters that my parents adopted from Ghana, Africa.
Yeah, I remember I seen you
So
post. Yeah, okay. That's cool.
yeah,
And so the youngest
so
that's at Boise State now, is she mad that she missed the Forever War?
no, I mean, I was in the Forever War and I
I know
called
you
home
were.
one day and my mom was like, hey, we got this cool thing. And I was like, oh, like, dad's getting a new job. Are you guys moving? They're like, we're adopting 2 girls from Africa. And I was like,
That's why
oh,
you were over there.
that's crazy.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
So yeah, that was in 08. So
Okay. And how old are so one's a sophomore in college. How old's the other one?
yeah, I think Sarah is, I think she's 23 now, something like that.
Okay. So do
Yeah.
they know your role in the war and what you did?
Oh yeah. I mean, once they were adopted, and I still had a bunch of little siblings at the time. So I think one of my brothers mentioned he's a kid. So he's like, oh, Greg's over in the war, like shooting pigeons. And my mom's like, yeah, that's what Greg does.
He said he's a trained pigeon marksman. How many pigeons did you kill, Greg? That's what
I killed a lot of dogs. We can definitely say
really?
that.
Jeez.
Oh my gosh,
I
dude.
don't know the dogs in there. Okay, so there you were. All right, so you had a patriotic calling, which I
Yeah,
think.
call it.
No, go ahead.
I just followed in the footsteps. Both of my grandfathers were in World War II.
Got it.
One was, they were both in the Navy. One was a chaplain. One was just like a regular just boatsman guy. That my grandfather, who was a chaplain, he was actually on Guadalcanal with the Marines. Yeah. And then after they took over the island, there was a hurricane and or monsoon.
Yes. Typhoon.
And he got a 2x4 to the head. Yeah, typhoon. That's what it is. He took a 2x4 to the head and he woke up on a ship heading back to Pearl Harbor.
I mean, that's not a bad way to wake up, I guess. Well,
I guess
depends when you were at Pearl Harbor, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
damn. Okay. So you have it in the blood, and obviously you had the call, and that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Did anybody else in the family, your siblings, follow you, or are you the only one?
No, my brother joined the freaking Navy, and he was an officer.
Good for him. Every time I think of a Navy officer, I just think of Maverick from Top Gun. That's like my perception of all of them. The crazy thing about that movie is everyone thinks that's an Air Force movie. It's like, no, it's like a Navy.
I know, they think airplanes and
everyone thinks Air Force. And like they don't do what you guys think they do.
They really don't.
One of the most misleading. So that's what going back to you saying you wanted to be a like a fighter pilot or something, I guess. Yeah. Well, wrong branch, man. You probably gotta go to the Navy to do that stuff, right?
Yeah.
All right. So let's fast forward. Greg he's signed up and he finds himself in Iraq in 2004. I had just come home, so thank you for your service. Good job going in there after me. Didn't do any of your cool shit. Didn't do any of the cool shit you did. Where'd you find yourself in 2004?
2004 was I guess it would have been 2005. Yeah, I got there January 13th, 2005, landed in Iraq. So we were in Bakuba. And
okay.
We
with the British? Is that with the British?
No, with the Georgians, which is, we took them out on the first mission and we came into a room and they were beating the shit out of some dudes. And we were like, okay, you guys can't come on any more raids with us.
We follow the rules around here.
Yeah. Oh God, those guys, but they were cool as shit. We spent the 12 months chasing al-Baghdadi.
Yes, the fucker from
AQI. Yeah. And then we came home and 3 months later, the guys that replaced us found him, and obviously Delta Force did their thing. So that was rather
Was
annoying.
that-
I mean, I could take you to the house that they found him in right now.
Was that Baghdadi or Zarqawi? Zarqawi.
Zarqawi, sorry.
Zarqawi. Yeah. Because
Wrong shithead.
Yeah, the dude from Georgia. Yeah, Baghdadi was the ISIS dude.
That's right.
Yeah, Zarqawi. No, I remember because I was in Jordan in 2015 and we had to go through Zarqa, and everyone's like, yeah, that's where Zarqawi's from. They're like the one city in Jordan that hates all Americans. I'm like, oh, that's pleasant.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's nice. So that's great. So you spent that whole tour chasing this fucking, and then you never found him?
No, it was, we'd go out for, this is back in the day where you did, what do we even call those? Where you just run the roads in the morning just to see if you can blow up anything to start the day.
The route recon?
The Army did the same. Yeah. So you just do route recons in the morning where you just drive as fast as you can and find IEDs that way. So God, 2005 was so much fun.
Did you realize you were writing new doctrine as you were doing it? You had no idea.
No,
it didn't exist.
Yeah,
yet,
you're
so
21.
like, hey.
You're like, this is a terrible idea.
Hey, don't do that. Center for Army Lessons Learned. So we just sped down a highway and a lot of shit blew up. I don't know if we should do that next time. Yeah. That's a weird. I thought this crazy picture from like during the invasion that the Iraqis had put all these Italian pressure tank mines all along the highway leading into the airport.
Mm-hmm.
I got this great picture. I gotta find it. I got all this stuff on hard drives I can't access anymore. It's really great technology.
I think we all
it's
do.
crazy. Like as far as you can see, there's just all these fucking mines, and it wouldn't have done anything like if you drove a tank, or not a tank, but like the Humvees and shit that we were in. From what I'm told, I don't know if I could be talking out my ass right now. All I know is we ended up just picking them all up and throwing them in a fucking hole and burning them. But it was funny because we had this great picture where you just see it's like everywhere. They look like little fucking dots all over the road. And we're like, what the fuck is that? Oh, they're mines. Well, we're not going to drive over them. So good time. So
Indeed.
you were in an infantry unit then, and then the second time you went back a part of a sniper team?
Yeah. So the first tour, we're in Kuwait, and like 5 days before we leave to go to what we thought with the rest of our battalion was we're going to go to Ramadi. Mm-hmm. And no, they said our company is going to be attached to the field artillery. Now this is 3rd ID, 3rd Brigade, 3rd ID. So it's super heavy. So these are Paladin boys. So they're not going to
second time back. So I'm sure they were excited.
Yeah. Yes. Very excited, as you can imagine. So they're not doing a damn thing.
Yeah.
So they were like, well, we better get some infantry guys in our battalion to do the patrols and stuff. So they took us out of 269 armor. And then, because this is when the Army did the combined arms battalions.
Yeah. So
we had 2 companies of infantry, 4 companies of tanks, and then the rest of the yahoos. And so they took our company, put us in with 110 field artillery. And so then we went to Bakuba and did that whole thing and lost some guys there. So the first mission we went on, or that we sent on a right seat ride on, we lost a guy. It was actually kind of like he knew he was going to die. So he made all these videos for his kids. So when they graduated and got married and had kids and stuff, they would have something of him to watch.
That's funny. So when you say he knew he was going to die, what do you mean? That was just his belief when he got over there?
Yeah, before he left, he just like felt like he wasn't going to come home. Yeah.
How'd you guys deal with that? Like, was he just trying to talk him out of that mentality? Because
no, I mean, he didn't tell anybody.
Oh,
except his wife, and so he had her make all these videos with him.
Oh, that's fucking
he's this big old son of a bitch. Sergeant First Class Sally. He was like so big that he ate the entire IED, which saved pretty much everybody else in the truck. Like insane.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So you guys were in trucks and everyone else is in fucking tanks?
Yeah. So we were in those fake up armored, like the welded,
it was all fabricated shit. Yeah. If it makes you feel any better, we did the entire like 0304 because I was in reserves and we had the vinyl doors. And we didn't know any better, right? Like no one knew that you were like there was no such thing as fucking, or at least not for us. I mean, I'm sure certain units probably had armor and all that shit, but we were just like, oh, cool, the doors come off. Like, no one fucking knew. And we put sandbag. They're like, yeah, put sandbags in case you run over an IED. I was like, oh, cool. That'll work. We'll fill some fucking sand. So yeah, so you had the second
Right.
iteration
Jeez
before all
Louise.
like the actual the real vehicles show. I
Actual
remember
armor,
seeing the first
yeah.
one, right? Like it was like the MPs had them, I think. That was the first one I saw at least. But yeah, that's insane. It doesn't when you look back on that, like it's something that you don't even because well, did you guys have yeah, you probably did you have body armor?
Yes, but we only had BDU body armor for our, and then we had the desert camo.
Oh, that ain't
So
bro. That was all we had the flak vest from like Vietnam era shit. I didn't know there was a such
So
thing as
it's-
I only thought bulletproof plates were like a Hollywood thing. I didn't even think that was real. And they gave them to us in July of 03, like that first generation one.
yeah.
And we had been there since fucking May. Well, in Baghdad
Amazing.
since we'd have been in Baghdad since May. We didn't get them until July or around this time, I think. It's crazy.
God, that's
But I had
so
no idea.
Army.
Like you didn't know.
Yeah, there's so much we didn't know back then.
Yeah, that's a great thing about like pre-social medias. You didn't have a place to just bitch about everything and
Right.
whatever. Well, I don't want to deal with that shit right now. But yeah. So okay, so well, yeah, that's the and you bring up the other thing. It's just like we had all this like DCU pattern stuff coupled with all this like woodland pattern, and then eventually the DCU pattern caught up just in time for us to move over to ACU.
Oh,
where there's
God.
nothing yet, right? And then like
I was
patterns,
the last person.
You were the last.
I was the last person in my entire brigade to still be shining boots and wearing BDUs.
It's a lost.
Like
fucking
I warmed
art.
to the last second because I couldn't stand the ACUs.
Oh, they're so bad. The boots were the best part to come out of it, like the whole desert boot
Yeah.
thing or whatever. Like I get,
Yeah.
I love that, but like, yeah, I still feel legitimately 40% of my basic training was spent shining boots. And so, like when I was a drill sergeant in 09, yeah, 09 and 2010.
Yeah.
That was we were in ACU era, so that I just
jeez.
remember being in drill sergeant school, like, what the fuck are we supposed to do with the other time?
All this extra time on our hands.
Like most of my time in basic, well, a good portion of it at least was spent just hey, shine your boots. It's fucking 1800. Like, well, we the lights out's not
Right.
till 21. Well, yeah, shine your boots. Like, all right,
Yeah. 3
read
hours.
read your smart book. Okay. Yeah, it's a lost art. I guess only the airborne, the jumpy boys still do that shit. But yeah, I don't think. I mean, that had to be a big dent to the Kiwi boys. You know that company. Like, no one's selling fucking.
So pissed.
Seriously. And then I just want to know who, because I remember reading all the Army time studies on like what the new pattern was going to be, because they wanted to have something that could be, you know, we should have just did what the Marines did, have like a fucking stateside woodland one, and then when you're deployed, here's your deployed one. But it's like somehow they merged what in their eyes they thought was that urban, I don't know where they got the desert portion, and woodland, and just came up with the fucking ACU, which still to this day, I remember seeing it initially and it's thinking, wow, that's cool, a new uniform, because I was just some 23-year-old idiot. And then now I look back at it and all the pictures, I'm just like, what the fuck?
Right? You're just like, oh, this is the worst.
Like it just never made sense to me. And I was never in, like, trust me, I never did any cool field shit in it. So did you wear that deployed?
Yeah. So
Your second
I was
deployment?
supposed to. The second deployment, that was like the regular duty uniform. But
Okay.
me and my team, we had some really good
go back and look at that picture.
Leadership. And they just kind of let us wear whatever we wanted. So we hooked up with some asymmetric warfare guys, and they just gave us flight jackets or flight suits and stuff. So we just wore, we just had our SAPI plates in a plate carrier, and then rigs on top of that with flight suits, and we like painted our helmets and shit. Like everybody hated us because we didn't care. We had
but see,
long sideburns.
That's the great part of, like, I would say, an actual war environment, because most of these deployments for the last X amount of years, for most of us, not guys like yourself, they weren't fucking deployments, and you had people acting like it was garrison and all that shit. But I always felt like, look, if whatever you're gonna do while you're there, if it makes it, more comfortable, more feasible, more practical, Who fucking cares? Like, we know who's on our side, right? It's not like
Right.
some of the shit, because you gotta understand, man. Like, when I went in 03, like the first 6 months, there wasn't a whole lot of like actual rules and regulations. It wasn't until First Armor Divisions showed up and replaced Third ID when,
Mhm.
former Joint Chief of Staff General Dempsey, he was 2-star Dempsey, he just made 2-star when they
Oh,
all came
jeez.
in. Like, I still remember,
That's
and
so
I've probably
long
told
ago.
this story before, but I don't know if you've heard it. I may have told it on one of the Zooms, but yeah. So we had D-main guard, right? Which was started when they fucking showed up. So it was 8 to 8, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., two 12-hour shifts, right? And I was a fucking E4 Mafia back at the time. So I was on that thing like once every 2 weeks. And I always
Mhm.
remember, like, one of the positions, there was an extra position at night, only for the 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. And it was General Dempsey's personal fucking porta-john behind the top
Oh my
of
god.
First Armored
Of course it
Division.
was.
Yeah. So I remember him coming out one night. It was probably a little bit after midnight. It was like 12:30, 12:45 or something. He's like, he was talkative and he was nice and all. He's like, anybody coming in and out? I'm like, no, sir, just you, sir. And he's like, all right. I'm like, okay. And yeah, it was just a weird, like, that was an actual position for 45 minutes on the shift, was to guard his porta john and make sure no one went in it.
Good
I hope he
lord.
listens to the podcast. Maybe he could jump on someday and I can be like, sir, why'd you do that? Why was that a thing?
Why?
Why were you the way you were?
Because he's a 2-star.
Yeah, a newly promoted 2-star. And who knew he would go on to become the big wig.
Yeah.
Great. And then nah, you know what? That's just getting down the negative side. Let's keep it positive. Okay, so you went back a second time. How was the second
Yeah.
tour overall?
The second tour was way more fun. Obviously, being in a sniper section, there was only 7 of us. So we the first 3 months, they really didn't know what to do with us. Our battalion commander was kind of like, I don't know what to do. And our AO was the southwest side of Baghdad. So if you look at Baghdad, you see that the river comes down and makes like a dick. So we had the whole dick and then all the way up to Sadr City. So the 82nd boys, 82nd boys were at Liberty, and that's where our AO stopped. And then we had everything south to Diyala River. And so we kind of like forced him to do things. Luckily, our captain was an infantry captain, but he never got to be a PL. So he was like, I just want to do cool stuff with you guys. I'll be the radio guy. Just, I won't tell you what to do. You guys are in charge. We're like, okay, sir, but like that means you're gonna have to have our back, and there's like a certain level of trust here. And he's like, okay, well, whatever I can do. Yeah, exactly. So after the first 3 months or so, we really got into a groove. We started working out of the JSSs all around the northeast portion of the AO and stuff. It was pretty normal rhythm. We'd go stay out there. Because we had 3 different teams, we would just rotate every week or so who would be out there, work out of the JSS, and who would work out of Fob Rustamaya. Good old Fob Rusty. So it was a good time. It was fun. Only lost a couple guys that tour. So, but otherwise, just normal stuff you do when you're running around.
How does that make you feel now when you look back on it? Because you brought up a few guys that you lost. Like, do you struggle with I guess the end result of what came out of the Iraq war, or is it something that you just, hey, we were doing what we were supposed to do in the moment, and I don't really think about the political or ramifications or any of that shit, or is it something you look back on and like, what the fuck was that for? Or do you have a good feeling about all that, one way or the other?
No, I think I keep them separate. In that, like, obviously the war is, looking back on it, was dumb as shit. But we only knew what we knew then.
Right.
And so their sacrifice, I wouldn't say it was in vain. But I mean, some days it's harder than others when you look back on it and you get thinking too much about what was the point of it all. But I served with the greatest guys, and just try to make sure that I live every day kind of in honor of them. I mean, I named my firstborn after some of the guys that died, so just always a reminder.
Yeah, I think, and I'm curious, like, because we've had a ton of debate over this our period, right? The whole GWAT, the global war on terror, that period that was, in my opinion, way too long. But then, guys before that, outside of, I guess, the dudes who went into Iraq to liberate Kuwait in 91. But everything before that, I think a lot of dudes could probably, going back to Vietnam, my grandfather in Korea, his brother in World War II, like it was probably a little different because I wonder if it was just because it wasn't as politicized due to the lack of media coverage, and social media. Like I felt like there was a lot,
definitely.
it was treated with a lot more reverence than it is today. Where now, I mean, you're on Twitter, like half the fucking soldiers you see just sit there and mock every fucking thing and make it a joke. Like people that don't deserve respect get it. It's kind of weird.
It's definitely. I remember the first time I met an embedded reporter, and it was like 2 weeks after my lieutenant died, and she was totally fine when we left to go on our patrol, and we did stuff, and a couple hours later we came back. Like on the drive back, she just like wouldn't shut up and stop asking questions, like kind of like that. Though, like, was it worth it? What do you think about it? And I looked at my TC and I was like, I'm gonna stop this and kick her out of the car if you don't get her to shut up. Like, I'll leave her here. I don't give a shit.
It's fucking nuts, man.
But I think
it's
as
almost
the war
like
progressed,
it's almost like interviewing like an athlete after they just lost like the championship of some shit, right? Like, well, how do you fucking think I feel? You know what I mean?
Pretty pissed. Yeah, I think you're right though. I think that with the more media, and not that media wasn't polarized, but because we can see how polarized it is now, that has only, I don't know, gave us a worse way to look at things in hindsight.
Yeah. No, I think that's 100% right, because you go back and you read about some of these, some of the war reporters and war correspondents from, World War II, and the guys that were in the Korea. You look at Vietnam. Look at the We Were Soldiers, right? You had that. You had Hal Moore with his that. God, I forget the dude's name at the moment. That's a great book if anyone ever wants to read it. We Were Soldiers and Young Ones. But you had that reporter that was embedded with them, and he went through everything they went through and was able to report that back. And I feel like, a lot of that's lost now. And I'm not saying that there aren't reporters doing that stuff. I'm just saying the way that the media is presenting things as a whole, it's not presented to invoke unity and patriotism. And I'm not saying that's the role of the media. I'm just saying it's probably not the role of the media to spark division either, in my opinion. I could be wrong.
No, I agree. Yeah.
We have a good reporter on last podcast episode, Sarah Blake. She was such a damn good reporter that she went and joined the fucking army. So there you go. We still got a few good ones out there. Isn't it? Like, I never joined the army and was like, when I get home, I'm going to become a reporter. It's like the total opposite. Good for her.
No, right?
She's cool. I liked her. All right. So when you came back from that, so you got out. You had no intentions of sticking around. You felt like you did your piece and were ready to move on.
Yeah, between January 2005 and the end of May 2008, I did 26 months in Iraq, and I was just like completely burnt out. The recruiters, they, how they are. They're just like, oh, dude, come on. I'm like, dude, unless you're offering me six figures, like there's no, it's absolute 100% no. Like, there's no point in this even coming here. The answer. So, I got home, took like 2 months or so to get off base and everything. And they were like, okay, well, you're going to go to Ready Reserve. So we're going to call you. I'm like, you have my parents' address. You'll never find me.
Down.
Yeah.
Never
So
look back, huh?
no, I just kind of, I was so aggro by the time I got out. I really didn't know. I didn't really give a shit about a lot of things. And so I was just lived like a gypsy life from then. So that would have been, 08 until 2011, really, when I met my wife. I mean, it was just like, I lived all over the place, had a bunch of jobs. You get out of the Army in 2008 in August. In October, everything crashes. And it was like, oh, what am I going to do for a job? So I got into retail. Mm-hmm. And if you can imagine it, I worked at Hollister. So
what?
That was
fuck yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't find a job. Oh, that's not true. I worked flooring for like 6 weeks and I was just like, dude, my knees and back, I won't be able to walk. Like I was just popping way too many pills to like get through like a 10-hour shift. And I was like, oh dude, I can't do this for much longer. So started looking for jobs. A buddy, he worked at like Zoomies or something like that. And he's like, dude, just come find a job at the mall. It's super chill. It's easy. And I applied at Hollister and they had like a warehouse job. So just in the back, just folding clothes and shit. And so I was like, oh, sure, I'll take that over. Yeah, exactly, man.
The Hollister actual city's not that far from me, man. A little beach town.
Really?
Yeah, it's right there. It's a little bit, it's on the one side of the Pacific Coast, man. It's not that far away. It's a really cool town, actually. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So I found out the guy next door, they ran the Abercrombie, the guy that ran the Abercrombie back room, he was in the 82nd. So we goofed off a lot.
That's pretty cool. So, wait, so let me check this real quick because this camera is kind of dicking up a bit. Can you still hear me all right?
Okay. Yeah, you good?
Okay. Is it delayed at all?
It's a little delayed.
Well, whoever decides to listen to this, I hope you are able to hear it. Greg's coming in fine. I can see my camera doing whatever it's doing. So this fucking, you know what, Zoom, stop updating your shit. Just leave it alone. When it works,
seriously,
it fucking works. You don't have
everybody likes it.
My God, yeah. So hopefully everything's good, and I think I can definitely see a delay on the video side. Hopefully the audio is good. All right. So you worked at Hollister. You met your wife. Did your wife come into Hollister?
No. See, I worked retail from 08 until 2011, and so I moved to Texas and Louisiana. Then I was homeless for a while and just snowboarded. Yeah, and then I moved back to Washington from Louisiana to help my aunt and uncle build a frozen yogurt place. And so I worked the morning shift at their coffee shop that was across the street. And the cool thing about working the coffee shop in the morning is all the business guys would give us their local AAA baseball tickets. Nice. If they weren't going that night. So me and my buddy that we worked with, we would just take chicks with us to the ball game. And one of our buddies brought my wife, and I was the fifth wheel.
Nice.
Yeah. And then she kept showing up at the coffee shop. And so one day I texted him, I was like, dude, are you still talking to Kayla? And he's like, no. He's like, I was like, do you care if I talk to her, dude? He's like, no, go ahead, man. So I took her out to lunch, and things happen. I got her pregnant.
All right.
Boom. Yeah.
Damn.
So that was kind of crazy because that was not part of the life plan, but
it never is, man. It really never.
It never is. No. So, but I got her young, so she was 19 when we started dating.
All right.
So yeah, so I was like, I'm 7 years older than her. Today's actually her 30th birthday. So
oh shit! Well, happy birthday to Mrs.
Diacogiannis.
Diacogiannis. Did she keep that name? Hopefully, I hope she did.
Yeah,
because I hope she has to answer every time. Like, how do you say your name? That's awesome. So now you got two more since then. So three kids, huh?
Yeah, three little
boys?
monsters. So yeah, 3 boys just doing it. As you can see behind me, or I
Nice.
guess on this side,
It's actually
just
pretty
all
clean.
the homeschool stuff.
Oh, you homeschool all 3 of them?
Oh yeah, man, we ain't sending our kids to government school. I
So
was homeschooled growing up, so
were you homeschooled
it
too?
happens. Yeah, most of my
But your dad
growing
was a
up, I was
teacher.
homeschooled. Yeah, I know.
Is that why you were homeschooled? Because he's like, you know what?
Probably. Yeah, he's like, this is this is
That's a
not a
bad
good
idea.
look.
Wow. So who does that? Do you do that, or does the wife? You guys pitch in, do it
Mostly
together?
her.
Mostly her.
Yeah, mostly her. But then when I'm home or if
Yeah.
whatever happens, I can obviously help.
Oh shit. So how does
Usually
it?
it's like the reading and math stuff.
You help with the reading and math?
Yeah.
Oh fuck, I couldn't do any of that shit. Like, yeah, but I remember. So my daughter was out here and she was doing middle school with me, and I remember it was like 7th grade, and she was showing me the problems, and you know, math has always been very easy to me until they introduced like letters and shit, right? After that, it was like I had to, like, I remember to pass my math classes in college, I literally went out and bought the instructor's book, and I just had to teach myself. I had to teach myself because my instructors were the school I went. The only fucking language they spoke was math. I've said is they didn't speak English as a first language, but they knew math, so I couldn't talk to them anyway. But yeah, like, so everything up to that point was super easy. Like, I can, any basic shit, multiplication, division, whatever
Yeah.
you fire off at me, I can solve it instantly. And so my daughter can't do that. And so that was tough for me to be like, in my head, I'm like, this is not hard. What? And then out
What do
loud, I'd be
you-
like,
Yeah.
okay, here, let's look at it this way. And I'm like, I knew I couldn't be a teacher, because if you don't have patience with your own kid to teach them, how you gonna teach somebody else's? And then B, I just
Right.
remember that's got to be hard, because it's you come to I would assume you come to it with a level of expectation based on yourself, right? So if your kids,
Yeah.
they don't, it's got to be challenging. And you got 3 of them. Like, I had one, so I could just be like, let me call her mom and be like, what the fuck? But you've got 3 that you sit there and look at all day. And is that just, does it get stressful, or?
Yeah, I mean, you can. I think we've kind of found our groove this year. We found a curriculum where there's like a base. This is what we're going to learn about, and we kind of let them choose the subject wise.
Yeah.
And then, so like Noah is the oldest, so then he'll have more work to do from the lesson, and then the younger 2 will have little things like, these are the letters we're learning, or this is the basic math we're learning. And so even Reagan, who's 3,
Great name.
he's yeah. So I have well, I'll just say Noah. So his name is Noah William, named after 3 of my buddies that died.
Yeah.
And he is 10, and then Leonidas is 6, and then Reagan is 3. So yeah, it's funny because the younger 2 will just like, they like schoolwork and they'll knock it out, but Noah's is like slow dragging his feet all the time. So
There's always
I
one.
get home and
There's always
yeah, she's just like, you're gonna have to deal with him today.
That's great, man. That's so, no, I give you a ton of credit, because like I say, I know my limitations, and being an educator is not something I could ever do. Probably not. Maybe college, where I could just, no, I wouldn't even want to do that. So
There's too many hot girls in college.
Yeah, that's true also. No, that's pretty cool. So, and your wife does that. Man, God bless her. That's just tough, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's good that you guys have made that decision for your own reasons, obviously. And I totally understand why, especially in this. So when you go to choose your curriculum, did you get to, were you like, oh, CRT, let's do that? Or
yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, perfect. I want my kids to be a little racist. Awesome. Okay. See, it's funny because when she told me, she's like, I'm pregnant. Okay, well, we kind of go through that, and we get married, and then have Noah, I think like a month later. And so you obviously talk about like, what do you want to do for school and all these other things. And I was like, I would really like to homeschool them, just because I know that helped me a lot. And especially the way school is built nowadays, it's just built for how girls learn and not for how little boys learn. And so I wanted him to have the chance to learn subjects that he was interested in, so that would help him actually be encouraged to progress in school. And so kind of had to work on her, and she talked to my mom, and Couple of my sisters homeschool. So the first, I don't know, maybe like 2 or 3 years, she was just kind of like hesitant about it. And then after the actual first year of doing just like little kindergarten stuff, with Noah, she was like, oh, okay, I kind of understand this. And he, his tongue was like connected too far. So he had like a speech impediment.
Mhm.
And so he had to go to like speech therapy and stuff. And that was kind of
Yeah.
like the beginning of, oh, there is a better option than just sending your kid to some building all day and then
Yeah.
figuring it out later. So yeah, I mean, it's been a process, and we've gone through a lot of different curriculum, just trying to find the right stuff, the right fit. Because kids are so different, but they all learn in such different ways. And when you're
Yep.
homeschooling, you want to make sure you find the way that's best for them individually. And that was one of the reasons I didn't want to send our kids to school, is just because, they go into a classroom and that teacher that's teaching that subject teaches everybody the same way, and so on and so forth. And where, when you're homeschooled, you can focus on, okay, like maybe like a month ago, we focused on Africa, the continent. And so they learned all their subjects, reading, math, letters, all that sort of stuff, science, animals. They learned everything on Africa, and then they based all of the, hey, there's 10 giraffes plus 2 giraffes. What does that mean? Finding place and stuff. So it was, and they picked it. They got to pick, hey, what are we going to learn about today? And then they would just base the subject or the subjects off what they wanted to learn. And that just keeps them way more engaged, especially, little boys are just ADD machines.
They're different. They're a different species. I have a daughter, so yeah, they're totally
different. Are a different species. So,
so I guess someone who would push back on that, what would you say, or how do you already do this when they say one of the arguments is, okay, well, how do they interact and socialize with other kids if they're not around them all day?
Well, first of all, you need to meet my kids, because Noah is a chatty Cathy and he talk to anybody. And my middle kid goes to the adult, a single guy, this older guy that lives across the street, really cool guy, but he just like goes over there and like knocks on the door and talks to him in the middle of the day, doesn't tell anybody, just walks over there. So
having a beer, I think,
because they have more conversations with adults. So I don't know. As a kid, I grew up in a lot of different like homeschool co-ops and church and stuff. And so there's definitely ways for them to socialize. And then really what I think about is like, how are kids actually socializing at school though? Like, what are they socializing about?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, we haven't had the birds and the bee talk, but the kid, their friend is like, oh, like teasing my kids with his older sister, like, oh, they don't even know what this is yet. It's like, yeah, because you're 9. Like, I don't want you to know about that shit yet.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
My daughter will be 16 this year, and I'm just like, geez,
dude.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I think the other thing that people always come back with, like, oh, they're not going to be as smart, or, how are you going to do testing and stuff like that. And there's just so much. There's so many resources
out a lot of that
now.
dumb shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, at least in the state of California, I thought it was interesting when they did. I think most schools did it last year because of COVID, where they kind of did away with the need for like standardized testing to get into college. And from what I remember reading fairly recently, I think California is doing away with that, period. Like, no more standardized testing. And I always thought, like, honestly, I know people who did better than me on the SATs and the ACTs, and I'm like, yeah, that motherfucker's not smarter than me. He's got better stuff. You know what I mean? So like, there's different types of intelligence is my point. And like a standardized test doesn't reveal that one way or, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I feel like standardized testing and all that shit, I think that's kind of like a relic in a way. And, don't get me wrong, I'm very traditional. I believe in a lot of stuff, but I don't think that should be a sole determining factor on someone's path, into the next level of their life or whatever. So,
yeah.
I think that's cool.
Growing up, it was just kind of like, oh, you're the weird homeschool kid. And then, they actually did a bunch of studies and stuff, and they actually came out that homeschool kids get better scores on the standardized test, like ACT and SAT and stuff.
Weird,
so
huh? Isn't that crazy how that works?
Yeah, who would have thought?
Interesting.
When you're solely focused on school and not all the other bullshit that comes along with when you're actually going to a school.
Do they play sports?
They're into sports-ish.
Yeah.
It's not like something for me, it's hard because I'm like extremely passionate, so I don't want to force anything on them. So they love watching sports, but they would much rather just like build Legos and I don't know, dig in the backyard. So
that was my next transition. So were you a big passionate sports guy? What'd you do growing up?
I just played baseball growing up.
Was it really? Okay, I would have had you pegged as a football guy. But yeah, you were a baseball dude. I was a baseball dude, and that's probably already heard.
My dad grew up. He played football and baseball. Super passionate about sports, and kind of just passed that on to me. And so now I watch everything. Like I mean, I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning to watch European football. Like I'm a psychopath.
That's the best thing about being on the West Coast though for football. It's like, dude, my team's
so good.
I'm a Bears fan. The game started at 10 a.m.
Exactly, man.
Fucking hammered by 1 and you go take a nap and then you wake up and get the rest of the day. You're fine.
The rest of the day, good to go.
Yeah, I don't miss that about the East Coast at all, having to stay up till midnight to watch shit.
Like, seriously. Right.
What position did you play in baseball growing up?
I was pretty much all over the place.
Okay.
In high school, I was just like the general utility guy. So through 4 years of high school, I played every position except pitcher and first base.
Jesus, you're a big guy. I would have had you pegged as like a fucking.
I was not a big guy then, though.
No,
I didn't break 100 pounds until I was 16.
What?
Yeah.
How tall are you?
5'11".
Okay. Damn, you're shorter than me. That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're fucking massive though. You're a big boy.
Now I am. Now.
It's crazy how that works. Food and testosterone, man. It works.
Yeah. See, when my second tour, we had such a good gym crew. I went.
What else are you gonna fucking do over there?
Yeah, I spent like $5,000 on supplements, and this was back when you could get like
awesome.
Real test and shit.
All your tax-free money goes right back to that.
Yeah, exactly. I went from 178 pounds to 215.
Jesus.
And that was the last time I've been below 200 pounds. So now I'm let's see, this morning it was 239 and a half or something like that.
That sounds about right. Yeah, you're a big boy.
Yeah. Greg, like, pick up heavy thing, put heavy thing back down.
Oh, I like how that some dude was talking shit about you. And you're like, he posted the video of you curling. And it's like, bro, if you can't curl 65, don't talk. And I was like, man, I can't curl 65. But I like that. You remember the dude. I mean, it's not his name, but
it's okay. Not everybody.
Jack's Ghost, when he would be curling. I used to fuck with him, like, bro, you can't do pull-ups. He's like, it's my shoulder. I'm like, is it your shoulder or it's because you can't do pull-ups? There's a difference. He's a good dude, though. I like him. He's a good kid. Good dude. If you were watching this video, you may have seen my cat Frankie. He's the new addition to the fam. He's now over here passed the fuck out. Oh, he just woke up. I heard me talking about him. But yeah, first joint podcast with the cat. So be on the look for it's now There Will Be Bourbon featuring Frankie and guest. So and he just got himself stuck on my pants. Frank, come on, bro. He's such a sweetheart. The dude is like the sweetest cat ever. It makes no sense. His personality is the polar opposite of that fucking crazy other one that's in there. But anyway, enough cat talk. We'll talk later, Frank. All right, I'll get you on the next episode. So now let's transition. The boys aren't quite playing sports yet, and that's fine. I think it's a good approach. If they want to play sports, they will. Like my daughter never really did. And I got her into lifting a couple years back to keep her kind of active and to get her in a healthier position, and it worked. And I noticed she has a really good, like, I don't know if it was a desire to like impress me or maybe make me proud or whatever, but like, I know you don't do the CrossFit shit, which we'll get into, but after she would do her lifting, like she liked that I did CrossFit and she kind of wanted to do some of that stuff. So I'd have her do some of those workouts, and that fucking kid would never stop, never quit. And I always kind of like look back in hindsight, because I was gone so long. I deployed 3 times since she was born. Yeah. So I just kind of, and the way her mom and I always were, like, it just never, the timing never worked. There was always a fucking issue with something. But yeah, I kind of look back and wonder, I'm like, because I was able to get to college to play sports, and her mom was fairly athletic. She didn't do it like I did, but I felt like she had enough, like just natural athletic ability. If she would have just been able to see what she could do from seeing her, like just her own personal mentality, just with lifting and working out. I was like, man, you probably could have been pretty fucking good at a sport if you ever did it. Just never wanted to. She just wants to draw and read, which is cool. Also, that's fine.
Yeah.
Stay in the fucking room for all I care. At least I know you're not in trouble, But then there's also a side of me, and maybe you'll experience this. It's like, I remember telling Maddie, I'm like, babe, someday I just want to get a phone call from like an authority figure saying, hey, we have your daughter here, because she was out doing it. I just want to be like, yes, that fucking kid finally got in some trouble. I was always in trouble, man. Like my brother, he was in trouble too. Like we turned out all right. But yeah, like she's just such a really good and well-behaved and respectful kid. And I'm just like, God, just fucking hop a fence you're not supposed to hop sometime. Something shit.
Right. Sneak out at least.
Do something so I can be like disappointed on the outside, but smiling on the inside, But yeah, those are kids. What's up, Frank?
Exactly.
Anyway. So, all right. So you're a big lifter guy, right? You did all the lifting, and I think we all did the same thing. When you're overseas deployed, you have nothing else to do but lift.
Oh,
so
that's just true.
But you hate CrossFit, huh?
Oh my God. Do I hate CrossFit so much?
Tell me why you hate CrossFit so much.
Because weightlifting is not an exercise that you should be doing like CrossFitters do. It's a very, the lifts are so technical.
Well, I think you're confusing possibly the sport aspect, which is not CrossFit.
Well,
with the actual CrossFit prescription, right? For the average person, because not everyone's a fucking CrossFit Games athlete. That's like comparing. That's like saying, you shouldn't play basketball because you're trying to be like LeBron James. No, I'm not trying to be like LeBron James. He's a good example of the peak of the sport, but he's not the average basketball player.
Thank God. Yeah. But you still do Olympic weightlifting at a CrossFit gym that you do for time instead of for technique, which is what
the technique
weightlifting is.
So, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I think you're mixing the Metcon, if you will, which is, you're never going to do something crazy that you can't fucking control weight wise. If you are, that's a failure of the coaching, which usually you don't have anymore. But then there's the strength aspect, which is when you're probably talking about what you should be working on, right? So the technique or the actual controlling a heavier weight, as opposed to in a Metcon, as they call it, metabolic conditioning, where you're doing a lightweight for reps.
Right. I understand.
Okay.
I just think CrossFitters are losers. They're like vegans. They're gonna let you know.
No, that's such like an old stereotype.
Is it though?
I think it is. I think like, so, I mean, CrossFit's been around for 20 fucking years at this point. Like
I know
you'll still get like the new person who gets really into some of this shit. And it's kind of like, all right, man, I get it. Now you're every shirt you own's a Rogue shirt. I got it. I went through that phase. Don't get me wrong. So I first learned about CrossFit in 2008 when I was in a drill sergeant school. Actually, one of the guys that taught me about it, this dude, Donald Forbes, he's a former Ranger dude. Ended up opening a gym and all this shit, but I used to see him doing all this crazy shit after hours behind our barracks. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? He had gymnastic rings out there. He's doing like handstand push-ups up against the wall. He's doing all kinds. And he told me about the website, and this was before, like, CrossFit wasn't what it is now, like it was back in 2008. Not. Yeah, it was still very website driven, and so yeah, I used to go on and look at the workout of the day. I'm like, okay, I can do that, or I can't do that. And I would just kind of pick and choose. And I never really learned what it actually was and how to do it properly until I was in Afghanistan in 2013. And I just happened to come back. And, while I was over there, I really got into it, learning about, at the time, Rich Fronin was the CrossFit Games champion, and his gym was an hour away from my fucking parents in Tennessee. So I was like, oh shit. So I got to learn from that dude at his gym. Like I got to learn from the best in the world, which kind of spoiled me. So it was cool. Like I totally get everything that is associated with it negatively and positively. But, at the end of the day, I think,
hey, I'm not mad that you're at the gym. Okay. I'm just proud that you're there. Okay.
Right,
I just wish you would.
Right. So my thing is like, look, whatever people find that they can do to keep them healthy and active, great. Is it powerlifting for everyone? No. Is it curling 65 pounds in the gym for everybody? No, because most people can't do that.
Could be.
It could be. But, most people don't want to do CrossFit. Maddie, she does this weird, crazy ass fucking hot yoga and shit when it's like 130 degrees. I'm like, no, that's awful. but she can
That
do
sounds
it.
terrible.
It does. It absolutely does. Yeah, whatever. I'm just glad that we're in an era in our society where, for the most part, yeah, there's a lot of shitty ass fucking food and diets, but for the most part, I think we're a lot more active than we've ever been. And if people choose to not be active and be fat bodies, then great. You're gonna be a loot drop as a,
Yeah, definitely. Definitely gonna
I
be.
love
There's
that
so many
fucking
loot
term.
drops.
Fucking bourbon's kicking
Greg,
in.
why don't you buy more ammo? I don't know, because the fat guy down the street, listen, he's collecting all my ammo for me.
So, yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you though, because did you have a knee injury or something that's been preventing you from?
Yeah. So I worked for DOS for a while with Triple Canopy.
Yeah.
And in February 19, a few days before I was coming home, we were outside going for a run, and I
Gross.
yeah,
I hate
in
running.
Afghanistan. Oh, it's the worst. It's
really
so
is.
terrible. It's so bad, but got to do it. So we went out to run, and I stepped on what I thought was some just gravel, and it was ice underneath. So my knee went that way, and my body went that way.
Damn.
Yeah, and I was like,
You in-
oh, that didn't feel good at all.
Were you in Bagram?
So, no, I was at the embassy.
Oh, okay, up in Kabul. Oh, cool, yeah. So I was
Yeah.
there in 2013. I was at NKC across the street.
Oh, okay, yeah,
cool.
So, oh, dude, they have really good Thai food across the street, didn't he? Over there.
Oh, dude, the whole area, like the food. What was weird about that place? Like, did you go over to NKC? Did you ever?
Oh, dude, we went every Friday.
So if you lived in NKC, like there was a way where you didn't ever have to go outside.
No way.
You went from your barracks, and the only time you would technically be outside was when you were crossing the walkway, which was literally just, a sidewalk's width, to go to the next building that had DFAC and the stairs that led to all your work areas and the stairs that led down to the gym. But the only way to really go outside was you had to want to, because there was no windows in your building because the walls were all fucking blast proof and shit. So yeah, like I used to have to make it a conscious decision, like, all right, Eric, go outside for 15 minutes today after, But yeah, like my buddies and I, we would get up, we would go to the gym at 4, go back to bed for a half hour from 5 to 5:30, go eat breakfast, then go to work from 7 till 9. But in the meantime, either at lunch or at 3, we would either go back to the gym or go do fucking CrossFit shit at 3. Like that's the greatest part about being deployed is you brought it. It's like, it's just, you get to work out and eat whatever the fuck you want.
This is true.
Whenever you want. It was great. And then you just hope nothing bad happens.
Like, I feel hungry at 2:00 in the morning. I'll go get some food.
Oh God, I loved it. So there was poker there. I remember I used to play poker with these dudes. Oh, nice. It was usually the contractors or like the civilians, the ones that had money to risk.
Yeah, right.
And it was so dumb. Like I just remember being at NKC doing these fucking poker tournaments, which was fun just because it was something to do. But like we're sitting there with, like 4 empty bottles of near beer as if it's I'm like, what are we doing? But it was so much fun. Frankie, what's up, bud? You coming back? No? All right. Yeah, like NKC was a great time, but no, I always remember the image that I remember Nick describing the first Goon Zoom as like being around the smoke pit.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Talking shit. And that was the only reason I used to go out after I talked myself to go outside. It's like, you know what? Mm-hmm. I picked up smoke. It's fucking deploy. You pick up a smoke just so you can sit out and hang out with people and talk. Right. And that's all it was. That's all it was. And it was fun. And so when he said that descriptor, I was like, man, that shit just reminds me of fucking Afghanistan. That's all we did was sit around the smoke pit every 2 hours and talk shit.
Right.
And it was fun.
The good times.
It was a good time. And it's hard. And you probably know this, but it's hard for people still, I think now, like, dude, I've been in the Army 19 fucking years, man. And my best times have always been when I'm not here. It's when I've been deployed. And I try to explain that. People don't conceptualize it because their only concept of war is just like, oh, it must be awful and terrible things all the time. And I'm like, no, it's actually pretty fucking fun. Like being with just your people and hanging out. And the only thing you got to worry about that day is what you have to do that day.
Exactly.
And it was fun. And yeah, there's some negative shit that goes with it. But for the most part, like those were the best years of you said 26 months. Like I bet most of that time you probably love to do again.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the shitty times were the shitty times, but they made the good times
Right.
so much better.
Makes it that much fucking better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great, man. Like I still sit, and I've told this fucking story way too much. I really need to just start writing it. But like, the best 9 weeks of my Army life was drill sergeant school.
Really?
Just like the perfect storm of the dudes, because our class was in 2 barracks buildings. One was really small that had 2 squads, and the other was a bigger one that had squads 3 through 7, and it was all alphabetical order. But for whatever reason, first and second squad where I was at, where we lived, were the funniest, the most authentic, most genuine dudes I've ever been around in my life. And we were all fucking troublemakers. And it was,
dude,
everybody else hated us, but we won every award. We won we were the best at everything. And it was just a great 9 weeks. And just the collection of dudes was just fucking awesome. And it was fucking hilarious, the shit we did for 9 weeks and got away with, number one. And I always talk about, like, that's the best stuff that people don't realize, because there's so many movies out there that either, glamorize the honor aspect, or they talk about the law. And like, but what people don't realize is that the military, well, maybe not the military, but the Army at least, has some of the funniest motherfuckers you'll ever meet. Right. And just those are the stories I don't think are shared, because people either don't bother sharing them or they don't fucking know. But like, that 9 weeks, if I ever write it, is going to be fucking funny as fuck.
Yeah, the funniest guy I've ever met in my life was John Shanowski. And dude, oh my God, our first deployment, he just, like, the stupidest shit we did to make each other laugh. And then and then I got to tell the story. So he is in the truck with my LT and team leader. It gets blown up. He gets ejected. He's on fire, whatever. End of the firefight. He's sitting in the back of the ambulance, and Rosado had like pulled him up out of the canal and everything. And so, to tell it from Rosado's point of view, and he's like this crazy Puerto Rican guy from Puerto Rico, like hilarious. So Ski's sitting there, he's in shock, he's on ketamine. Everything's burnt off of him, his pants. He just has his flak vest on. And the old school flak vest had that big old big old dick flap. Yeah. And so Ski's sitting there and he's like, Rosado, do I still got my dick? And Rosado telling this story is like, I pretend to look down, but I not see any. I just tell him he's good. It's just like, oh my God, like, dude, you get blown up. And the first thing is like, oh, is my dick still there? Like, it's a valid amazing thought. Like, I mean, it really is.
Yeah, like in hindsight, the presence of mind. What's the point if it's not there? Like, hey, man, sorry. Yeah,
like, just
he's probably like, you know what? Just fucking shoot me. Just fucking shoot me. I struggled with that, man. Exactly. I used to think about that. Yeah,
the funniest dudes are definitely the dudes that you meet in the Army, for sure.
Yeah, well, I struggle because I remember, like, going to CIF the first time, where it's like, oh, and this is the flak flap to protect your shit, and it has to snap on under the IOTV, and I was just like, they wouldn't have made this if that wasn't an actual reason to make it.
Yeah.
So what you're telling me is dudes have lost their dicks, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be one of the ones that comes back with the dick's gone. I'm just not coming back. I'm definitely not living the rest of my life without a dick. I'm not going to do it.
Please,
There's a few things I've decided I probably won't do. One's probably in a wheelchair. I haven't really come to terms with that, but I'm pretty sure I don't want to live the rest of my life like that. Oh. And 2, I'm not doing it without a dick. Just not doing it. And if I can't taste bourbon, which is what I felt last year when I had COVID. I was in like day 5. I'm like, you know what? Pretty fucking close to drowning myself. I'm not going to go the rest of my life. I'm not going to do it.
Like, I can't taste bourbon anymore.
God damn it. No, I can't do this. No. Maddie knows. Like, I was like day 5. I was super grumpy. I was like, what? Why are you calling me? I can't taste anything. Oh, and then the next day I was like, hey, babe, guess what? I can taste bourbon again. It's great. Shit's over. That's all.
We're good. We're good.
Yeah, that was my only side effect from the fucking COVID shit. Did you get that shit?
No. I mean, I probably had it. I worked for a welding and gas company. We also do a medical side. So we supply oxygen to patients in their home. And so, I don't know, last year I probably set up over 100 patients with COVID.
Wow.
And I mean, I wore all my PPP, boss.
Can confirm. I saw the pictures. You wore it.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. So, I'm sure I probably was exposed to it a million times, but I never got like sick or anything. So
Yeah. It's a weird
I don't know
time to
how.
be alive, man. It really is.
Super weird.
Because I was talking about it. So you could probably relate to this since you're not that far behind me when school was. Dude, if this shit happened when we were in school, you think they would have shut the fucking schools down? They couldn't. There was no Zoom. There was no fucking Google Class. There, and you're doing homeschool, but still, like, you couldn't take people out of the school. You would have just been like, man, nah, this sucks. Do it. Do your best. Stay healthy. But you were definitely going to fucking school. Like, what are you gonna do? Fucking, school over the AOL Instant Messenger with the dial-up.
Oof, right.
No,
dude, I don't think they would have even done lockdowns. Like,
no, you couldn't. I don't think
there just wasn't a way to make everybody terrified when we were kids.
So that's also true. You only had, like, cable news was still in its infancy. So yeah.
You only had
6, I believe, MSNBC and MSNBC and Fox came out in 96 or 97.
Yeah, something like that. Right in the middle of the Clinton administration.
Yeah, and CNN was still reputable. Right there.
That's so weird.
That was a long time ago.
I remember the moment I realized that CNN was dead was when Don Lemon asked if that Malaysian airplane disappeared into a black hole. I was like, all right, I can't.
I was in Afghanistan.
This anymore, bro.
That was on, dude, bro. That was on like either at breakfast or midnight chow, like, because they only played like one channel on this side and the other. And I was like, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that one that happened. Because I still think back on that. Did they ever figure that shit out? Like,
I don't think they ever found it.
Because there was like for the longest time, it was like, oh, Russia shot it down, and I was like, yeah, that's plausible because they shot down the entire fucking like the Polish president and parliament, like, around that time.
Yeah,
like literally the entire government of Poland gets shot down on a plane, and Russia's like, oh no, bro. Don't know. They never should have broke free. It's their fault. But yeah. So yeah, like that airline, they never figured out what the fuck happened, did they? Maybe it got swallowed by a black hole. It could be real. Who fucking knows? Right.
It's just it's hanging out with Amelia Earhart somewhere in the South Pacific.
Bro. Can you imagine? I always thought about, can you imagine being an aviator back then?
Oh, dude,
like, you know what? Let's see if we can fly across the world. Let's fly across the Atlantic Ocean. How about we don't? It's just like,
these planes have been around for like 20 years, bro. I don't know if we should be doing this.
Did you go to airborne school?
I went to airborne school and I was there, and then I was not there.
Then it was not there. What did you do?
You see, what had happened was I wore a rigger's belt, and I didn't know that you couldn't wear a rigger's belt. And Private Greg was ejected from airborne school. So instead of going to the 101st, Greg had to go to third ID instead, which actually turned out to be a blessing in disguise. So,
well, I mean, why would you want to be the only actual airborne qualified guy in the 101st?
Oh God. So where's our 101st boys? They're so bitter right now.
Oh my God, why don't they just change the fucking name to Aerosol? I don't get it. It's not, you're not holding on to, I get it. You guys were the band of brothers. Yay. But no, so my point before I go on the rant is, like, there's that stone outside the harness shed of like the first volunteers for, and I remember seeing that, and I was, bruh.
Yeah.
Attention, everybody. I need volunteers. Jump out of that plane.
Like,
and if I remember correctly, I think there's only like 1 or 2 officers on there.
Oh,
God, you know,
yeah,
officers like some fucking lieutenant. Like, I guess do I get promoted?
They had to send one up.
Yeah. And then not only that, but here's my favorite part was like being inside the harness shed, and you see all the crest and everything, and there's like the glider infantry, and I was like, what the fuck is the glider infantry? And I went down a Google rabbit hole after my first jump trying to figure out what the gliders were, and I'm like, okay, first off, I don't know how you convince the first dudes to jump out of planes, but how'd you convince a group of motherfuckers to get on a glider? Like, that shit made no sense to me.
Right, we're gonna tow this behind an airplane, and then you guys are gonna land,
and wherever you land,
might have to jump.
If you're alive, just get out and start fucking shit up. Okay, that sounds like a plan. And we weren't even the first ones to do it. Apparently, the Russians did that shit, from what I remember.
Oh my God,
the Russians or the Germans? Somebody did it. it clearly didn't last long. But so even to this day, unless they've changed it since I left, but Florida has, because Florida, if you don't know this, useless trivia time, Florida has the most personal license plates that you can get, right? So
Not surprising at all.
For like whatever you can think of,
Yeah.
you probably a license plate for it in the state of Florida. One of them is the airborne paratrooper one, but on the paratrooper tag, it says paratrooper at the bottom, but it's got the insignia for airborne and the insignia for glider. And I never knew what the fucking glider one was until I actually went there. I saw it and I was like, oh shit, that's them. And I just want to know if there's anyone still alive who has a fucking glider tag. Or is glider qualified? Because those dudes probably, there's not many left from World War II anyway, but I just want to know if there's anyone out there glider qualified. And if there is, could someone message me on Twitter at Eric TWBB and let me know if there's a glider infantry qualified dude, because I'd love to talk to him. And just wonder.
That'd be amazing.
Crazy shit. I think we used it in Operation Market Garden and then they scrapped it and they're like, yeah, it's a bad idea.
Oh, Market Garden was a shit show anyways.
World War
Thanks,
II.
Monty.
Fucking World War II.
Yeah.
It's the last war we won. Well, never mind. We won Desert Storm.
We won the Korean War ish.
I mean, it's still technically going on.
Hey, I mean, China kind of quit. They're like, you guys got to the 48th parallel.
Crazy. Did you ever read it? Like, did you ever read some of the Ranger stories from Korea? Like, those fuckers.
Yeah, there's this. Oh, what's his? There's this account I follow on Instagram, and it's like half of their posts are about guys that were awarded medals of honor from Korea. It's just like, oh yeah, this guy killed 300 Chinese, you know, like with a bayonet. And you're like, yeah, what? How? And he lived?
Very tactical.
He was shot 30 times.
Yeah, there's a crazy, like, so my grandfather, he passed a few years, well, about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. Shit, damn, time flies. But he was in Korea and he went over there as an 18-year-old. And his first night, they put him on the 50 cal and they got overrun. Like those are the types of stories he would tell us. And I just remember coming back from Iraq in 04 and, you know, he would just ask questions because he was curious, and he would always ask questions no matter what, no matter when it was. And I'd always be like, I don't got anything cool to fucking nothing like that. Like, I mean, I waited to be overrun on Christmas Eve in 2003 in Iraq. It didn't happen, but you know,
yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't have any actual stories, Grandpa, of like you. Yeah, so like this just the stories back then, man, were just fucking nuts. And it'd have been so much cooler to be back then because maybe the stories weren't even real, but you wouldn't know. It's just,
right. Like, all right, guys, we're all gonna make
up
a
is
story.
This like a fishing story where you caught like a 5-pound fish, but it turned into a 100-pound fucking shark, and you had to escape from, you know, Moby Dick? I don't know. Yeah, crazy shit, man. That's good times. So, all right, so let me transition into what your hope. Oh, look at that. That's got a random text from Sergeant Hensbrough. He was in this school with me. Oh, that's so random. I haven't talked to that dude in like 2 years. See, Greg, you bring about like random acts of arminess texting.
Dude,
right, so
like, hey, one of my buddies.
Yeah,
I haven't talked to him in like 10. I haven't talked to him in like 10 years, and he texted me after the fights on Saturday. I was like, "Hey, dude, you want to talk?" I was like, "Sure, bro." Yeah,
yeah. So I forgot you're like a big UFC guy, man. You would have loved going to the fucking, what was it, 264 we went to?
Oh yeah, the McGregor fight.
Dude, Jack. I'm gonna keep using his name as Jack because he doesn't want to use his real name. But yeah, dude, he was so like he was so bitter. Like he was just like, man, these fights suck because McGregor got hurt. But the problem was with McGregor getting hurt, which was fine for me because I bet against him, and that was the fourth fight of my parlay. I made a ton of money that weekend because
I mean it was a good bet because we knew Conor wasn't going to knock him out. So
yeah, well, so the problem was like he was already in a kind of a bad mood because the Burns fight before that with Thompson was so fucking bad. Like it was we're all just sitting there like, oh my God, is this something? Like the entire arena was just quiet. Like nobody was, there was never a moment where you're like, yeah, everyone was just like, oh, look, there's Donald Trump. That's pretty much all everyone focused on was Trump was sitting there. But yeah, outside of the O'Malley fight with that fucking zombie he fought, everything after that just kind of wasn't very good. But yeah, like that O'Malley, whoever that dude he fought with the green hair, I was like, holy shit, this fucking treasure troll is not fucking around.
Not at all. O'Malley, did you rewatch the fight?
I didn't rewatch it, no.
Okay. like it, when you watch it, O'Malley's hitting him obviously with everything, the kitchen sink, and this kid's just coming forward. And you can see on O'Malley's face, like, holy shit, this kid is never going away. Like, I need a pace. Like in the middle to the later half of the second round, he's like, oh shit. Like you can tell he's like, I'm pouring everything out right now. And this kid's just like, yeah, thanks, bro. Thanks for that. I'll just keep eating this. I'll like keep going. Like, oh my God, bro, this is terrible.
Yeah, it is weird because, you know, so I'll get your take on this too after I say it, but he knocks him down with a few seconds left in the first round. And I thought he could have knocked him out. And then the clock, like he was kind of saved by the bell, I thought. And then from that point on, he was never really in any danger like that until the ref decided to just stop watching this guy get his face punched in the third round. Yeah. But so GSP, I was listening to him on Joe Rogan several months ago, and he talked about like he always thought or he feels like MMA should only be one round. Like you don't get to be saved by like if we're gonna have a 15-minute fight or we're gonna have a 25-minute fight, like that's what we're gonna do. We're not gonna get the 5-minute, you know, you're not gonna give them the 1-minute break in between because that rest period sometimes changes the fight or it changes momentum, whatever. And I remember thinking like, you know, he brings up a good fucking point, and he probably would be fine because he was one of the most greatest conditioned fighters ever. Yeah. What do you think about? Would you like to see some shit like that?
I don't know. I like the Pride rules where they're the longer first round.
Yeah, dude, Pride was so insane in this moment. Why did that go away?
Like here, because they stopped making money. I don't know how, but
probably been the UFC's fault, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't think they had a big enough US market base, and you can only, and as UFC's gaining market share and they're pulling more and more good fighters, like they had a lot of Japanese pro wrestling fighters, and then you know, the Don Fries and the Colemans and things like that. But you can only
Dragon Fry.
Yeah, and you know, Crow Cops over there. Fedor, but Fedor was at that point. I mean,
yeah, I wish people would have got to see him in his prime in UFC.
God, dude, him and Randy should have fought, man.
God, there's
so disappointing they never fought.
There's so many dudes that kind of like they came just before, like their time was before it was really going to be shown to the world, like the way UFC is now. And don't get me wrong, I think the fighters in the UFC now, they're just so fucking technically skilled that maybe they wouldn't have done great either way. I don't know. But man, watch Fedor like never had emotion, and that dude was just a fucking kill. Like that dude's my size. He's literally 6 feet 205, and that's not some dude I would want to come across. Even to this day.
Terrifying.
Jesus Christ,
dude. Dan Henderson hit him with everything, and you're like, oh, Fedor's just gonna keep coming. You're like, how is this possible?
It's
like,
not healthy.
This doesn't make sense at all. Like. Nogueira had his arm in that nasty arm bar in their first fight. It was just
he never showed pain. He never had a none. He never even grimaced as if it hurt, which is almost like the dude now. Wow, what's it? Ferguson, Tony Ferguson. He's the same way.
Yeah, Ferguson when he got his shit that the dude just did.
He's like bending his knee and he's just like, yeah, whatever, I'm good. Yeah, well, that's a different type of human, man. Like my brother's trained that shit, and he's done it for years, and he's always like, man, I could never be a soldier, like all this shit. I'm like, bro. You literally like getting punched in the face. That is not something I will ever have to deal with unless it's like, you know, some random fucking hand-to-hand combat shit, which I'm probably never going to see, especially now. But yeah, like that's a different type of human that doesn't mind getting punched in the face. It really is.
Yeah, I liked it. I tried out for the Ultimate Fighter in 2010.
How'd that go?
I flew to Chicago, met Shoni Carter. That was cool. What? Yeah, it was fun. I tried out for it. I wasn't going anywhere. I didn't have any pro fights or anything. So, and that was the USA versus UK season. So,
what's the trial consist of? Like getting punched in the face?
First, they at that time it was you did a grappling session, and then if you made it past the grappling section, then they did like you hit mitts after that, and then they did interviews. So. I made it to the striking session and then didn't make past that, but it was a good time. It was super fun. It was just like a weekend.
So you're one of those weirdos that likes getting punched in the face, right, Greg?
Yeah, I don't mind. I used to roll my shins all the time with a rolling pin.
What?
So yeah, that's how you deaden the nerves in your.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, man. Like every time I feel my shin, that's just like, that shit hurts. So every time, nah, I'm not. I'm just not built for that, man. Like, if I need to fight, I can fight, but I'm just not. No, I don't. No.
Yeah, I like the grappling aspect of it.
Grappling's awesome. Like that was the one thing. So in drill sergeant school, like combatives level 1
Yeah.
was just really coming into the army, and I enjoyed that. That was fun. I actually was really good at getting arm bars on people.
Mm-hmm.
The one where you get behind the neck and just fucking get them in that angle where you're like, here, does that work? Yeah, and then that was fun. I could do that, but that shit tires you the fuck out, man. So dude, we would do round robin of like 2 minutes at a time, and then we'd rotate for 8 rounds.
Brutal.
Like there's not much, like I've done everything to kind of be in good shape, and what I've really figured out is nothing really prepares you to be in shape for what you think you should be prepared to be in shape for, if that makes sense.
No, totally.
I could run a 13:30 2-minute mile back then, and it didn't matter. Like a minute into that fucking shit, I'm dead.
Yeah,
I can't.
Just completely smoked.
Yeah, like and my brother would talk about it too. Like fighting shape is a different type of shape. Like any of that jujitsu or anything on the ground, like that's a totally different type of cardio. I don't even know how you train it without. You just have to fucking do it.
It's a lot of doing it. That way you can get past the. I'm just using my muscles to be strong at it, and then once you get past that point, it's technique wise, so you're not fatiguing yourself as much. I mean, it still sucks. It's terrible.
Yeah, so I rode with one dude who was a legit Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt once, and I couldn't even understand what he was doing to me. Like it made no sense. Like it was just, that's how you just know you're just not in the world where you belong, and that was it.
Yeah.
Say I don't know what.
No, for sure. The first time you roll with somebody that's a black belt, you're like, oh, okay, this man could just kill me right now if he wanted
to. It was just fucking effortless, man. It was just fucking effortless. It was effortless. It's funny you brought up. Was it Dan Henderson? Is Dan Henderson the one with the big ass head and the little ass calves? Is that Henderson?
I don't think so.
I think that's him. No.
Big ass head and little calves.
Yeah,
I've really never checked out Dan Henderson's calves.
I have a point. There's a point. Let me see if this is the guy I'm thinking of, because when I was in Kuwait. Yeah, that's him. I'll send you the picture later. But no, okay. So when I was in Kuwait in 2015, Dan Henderson came, like him and a few other dudes came, and they. So inside on Camp Arif John, you have the big fucking the big ass fucking building, right? And then half of it's a CrossFit gym, and the other half is a for combatives, like a big ass fucking mat and everything. And Henderson and a few others came as like a USO tour, right? And so I remember Dan Henderson, like I'm on one of the lifting platforms, and they're doing their shit. So I was like, oh shit, that's Dan Henderson. And yeah, dude, big ass fucking head. His fucking calves are like this. Made no sense. The calves are like my forearms. I have a picture of it. I sent it to my brother. I'm like, bro, Henderson's calves are tiny. What the fuck? That's another dude. Like, one of those dudes that you just don't want to fucking find yourself on the wrong end with. You know what I mean? He wasn't that big. I think he probably fought at 185 or whatever, but I just.
Yeah, he fought at 185, and then he walks won the around title
probably like 205, 210, whatever. Yeah, so he's.
Yeah,
but he, like, when you saw him, like, from his head looked like he was a fighter, but like if you just saw that dude, you probably would be like, oh, he's just a dude, like, bro. And that's what's crazy about now. And I'm glad I'm older and I don't have to deal with this shit, like, being a young idiot in clubs and shit. It's like nowadays you don't know who the fuck you don't know who you're getting involved with, man.
Right. Like some little 135 pounder hits you up with like 15 punches in 2 seconds.
Yeah. You're just like, what the fuck just happened? Well, what just happened is you got knocked out. That's what happened, sir. Okay. So stop fucking around, man.
Get the fuck out of the club right now.
Oh God. Like because man, there's just too many people that do this stuff. And which I also, once again, I am all for people being the most lethal versions of themselves, whatever it is, whether it's trained with weapons or trained with firearms or just trained with your fucking fist and feet. Whatever makes people, lethal, I think is a good thing, because you probably know this already or think the same thing. Is like most people in this fucking country or in this world, they're just fucking soft, man. They're loot drops.
They are. Yeah, they really are. They have no concept of what real pain, suffering, what hard times really are. It's like, oh, I didn't get my Starbucks this morning.
Yeah,
fucking Amazon came 2 days late. Christ, lady.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things that still bothers me to this day about America. Trust me, I love my country, I love everything about it, but the fact that there's some true pain and suffering going on in this world, and you've seen it. You've been in the region of the world where it exists, and yeah, like most people will never understand that concept, and they don't even watch the fucking news or whatever it is to see a glimpse of it anyway. All they know is YouTube.
Right.
And they're like you said, whatever inconvenience they experience throughout the day from, a third party.
Yeah.
Fucking irks me, Greg. That's why I wanted to start my combat ski resort in Bourbon, where you just drop tourists off and they have to survive.
Just make it down the mountain.
It's a beautiful country over there. Did you go to Afghanistan or just Iraq? No, you did go. You went as a contractor. It's a beautiful country, man. It feels,
dude,
kind of sucks.
Unbelievable. It was I don't know. It was a wild experience for me. I really loved the country. Like, I love the high mountains. I love mountains. Like,
it's fucking cool.
I was on a QRF that was helicopter only. So we flew in Hueys that had bullet holes from Vietnam.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's it's part of the course.
And then 40, and then we rode in 46s. So the little baby Chinook.
Yeah. Were those the Sikorsky one, that model?
Yeah.
So that's what they always sent us in, and that was my first trip. Was the first time ever on a helicopter, was from flying into Bagram and then up to NKC, and it was like a 12-minute flight. But I just remember, like, this doesn't feel safe.
Yeah.
It's just shaky.
And the first time they fire off flares.
Yeah, we're only flying like 1,500 feet off the ground. I'm like, shouldn't we be higher?
I can see people.
Yeah,
they can see me.
This is a really weird flight route. Are you guys sure about this? Yeah, that was a weird time, man. That's cool though. But yeah, I always thought, like, especially remember the only time I ever got to fly on a Black Hawk was coming back from Bagram, and like we couldn't get a flight out. Like, we're in the PAX terminal and just, we weren't priority, so everybody kept getting priority. And then all of a sudden, some full birds like, "You guys need a ride back to NKC?" I'm like, "Yes, sir, we sure do." He's like, "Come on, my bird." And we got on with a Black Hawk, and these fuckers had two like gunners on each side. I'm like, this is new. And we flew super low over the mountains. I'm like, all right, well, now I see why you have the gunners here, but I'm also just like, can't we go higher?
Please.
But I just remember looking out the little hole on the side, and I'm like, man, that's fucking beautiful, because it was winter in Bagram, and it's fucking such a beautiful mountains, man.
Yeah.
And then leaving, the next year we were playing the Polish in a volleyball game on Bagram, and I just got all these pictures of the mountains in the background. And to me, I remember thinking, especially when I got out here, I was like, man, that looks like fucking California. Like, that's what it looked like. It looked like the fucking mountains of California. I was just like, another side of the world, but man, it looks like home. Kind of weird.
Smells different.
Definitely smells different. Definitely smells different. And you know what? I know we've turned it over, but the Popeyes on Bagram, those aren't American biscuits. Those aren't the same biscuits they serve in America. Those biscuits sucked. And Popeyes, whoever you contracted out to, you gave them the wrong recipe, because those aren't the biscuit recipe.
The lying.
The line, fucking. What else you gotta wait for? There's nothing else to do. You know what's funny though? Like, I don't know if you like random pop songs like I do. Ooh, nice catch. Fuck that. Who's your base? Do you have a baseball team?
Yeah, the Mariners. And the Cardinals.
And the Cardinals. All right, at least one of those teams is good.
Yeah, well,
I'm watching the Giants game right now. 4-0.
They suck.
Do they really? Because I'm pretty sure they won
terrible.
3 World Series this year.
No,
that's cool. That's fine. You're bitter. It's okay. It's not a problem.
Listen, okay.
But anyway, it's 4-0 in the bottom of the second. And they're playing Arizona. This dude just made this jumping catch into the wall. He held on. Looks like he's not feeling very well.
Playing Arizona. You mean the team that's not trying to win?
That's fine. I just need wins to get more space between us and the Dodgers. So I don't give a fuck. I hope the Dodgers lose tonight. They're playing the Phillies. I hate the fucking Dodgers. I hate everything about LA. Like, fuck that place. Fuck that team. The Angels are fine, but fuck the Dodgers. Fuck the Lakers. Fuck everything from LA.
That's a fair point. I mean, I like Bauer. Well,
the Clippers I'm cool with. Yeah, I'm cool with the Clippers, but No, I just like LA is just so growing up in Florida where I did, and I don't know, maybe I don't know, you grew up in Washington State, right? Close to Canada.
Yeah.
What was your perception of California growing up? Because me in Florida, I think our perception, until especially getting out here, is like most people on the East Coast only associate California with LA, like Southern California.
Well, my great grandfather was a superintendent of San Diego School District. So he had a house in La Jolla. So
Wow.
a lot of summers were spent down there. So that's
Dope.
my experience of California.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so when you got a large family, hotels are out of the option. So we would just camp
Oh, you only had
all the way
12
down the
girls instead of
101.
Jesus.
Yeah. We were actually the Brady Bunch at one point.
Times
We had
two.
3 and 3. Yeah, and my name's Greg. So that was a fun few years. I wanted to kill myself.
That's great.
Yeah, so my experience of California really wasn't the LA County experience. It was more camping all the way down the 101 or 5, and then La Jolla, which is completely different than LA.
But I think that's also with you being on the West Coast, though. It's like it's
Yeah.
you know, yeah, I can see that. But I just remember growing up in California and like, oh wow, fucking California's, it's LA and it's like the knockoff Disney World, because we had Disney World and they've got Disneyland. I was like, fake ass Disney World. Then I came out here and like when I got stationed in Roseville, I was like, wow, this is beautiful. Northern California is a totally different planet. And I love it. But I was also a Giants fan because I was a huge Barry Bonds fan. Like the first little league team I was on was the Pirates, so I liked the Pirates at first, and then he signed with the Giants, and I became a Giants fan. I've been a Giants fan ever since. So yeah, way better than those fucking underachieving Mariners. You guys had some of the greatest teams of the '90s. Like I love the Mariners in the '90s. Jay Buhner, Edgar Martinez, Ken Griffey Jr., fucking A-Rod. You had like that's 4 Hall of Famers.
We don't have to do this.
We do have to.
Eric, we really don't.
Randy Johnson. Holy fuck, bro! How did you not win? You set a regular season record, 116 wins, and you lost in the fucking. Was it the divisional series? Or did you get to the actual?
We lost in the ALCS to the fucking Yankees.
God damn, I fucking Yankees. My dad's a Yankees.
I fucking hate the Yankees so much.
I don't mind them because I respect winning.
That's because they didn't like. Obviously,
like, yeah. But I like Jeter back then.
Yeah,
I like those Yankees teams.
Oh God, you like Jeter?
I love Jeter. He's from Tampa.
Oh my,
Florida boy. You just hate Jeter because he destroyed your team, but that's a great dude.
Yeah, they just didn't pitch to Ichiro. That was his MVP.
Oh yeah, there's another guy,
rookie year.
Another fucking Hall of Famer. That comes to America and gets 3,000 more hits.
I don't, dude. Seriously, he's such a psychopath. He bought an entire catcher's outfit, like gear, because he wanted to catch bullpen sessions, because he's still a coach for the Mariners, and mind you, he still wears the entire uniform every day because he's a complete psychopath. But yeah, he was catching in the bullpen for some weird reason a couple weeks ago, and so then he just went and bought the entire catcher mask, chest plate, shin, everything, glove. Like he just like, well, I just want to make sure the guys are like comfortable pitching. Like, of course he did. Of course he did.
Well, so my first Giants game ever was when I was out here. It was probably 5 years ago, and they were playing the Mariners. And I had no idea that Ichiro, because I had given up baseball for a while. I understand. It was a weird personal thing. But anyway, so that was my first Giants game, and I was just like a little fucking kid all over again, hanging out in Giants Stadium for the first time. Because I grew up in Florida. I never thought anything would ever bring me out to San Francisco to actually see a Giants game. Like it was always on TV. And so, yeah, and I was like, Ichiro came up, and I was like, fucking Ichiro's still playing, this motherfucker. And like I remember that dude was that dude was amazing, man. Like, so what do you think about Ohtani though? Like Ohtani's like Ichiro on fucking like not steroids, but on steroids, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I really detest him because he was going to come to the Mariners, and then
he was also going to come to the fucking Giants. Which
I
actually think he will end up on the Giants. Yeah, I think he will end up on the Giants because the Angels can't afford him. They're paying Trout like $400 million. Can't do it. Can't give two dudes for if Trout gets $400 million, doesn't Ichiro get 800? The dude does do two things.
Ohtani.
Yeah. Fucking not Ichiro.
No, my best friend, who is my sniper team leader, we're convinced that Ohtani is actually the product of the nuclear bombs that we dropped on Japan, that he was just like some sort of creation out of that, and now he's just coming back to haunt America's pastime. Like, he's too good at baseball.
He really is.
He's too good.
We even tried to sabotage him with a fucking major arm injury, and he's like, "Oh, I just come back and throw harder."
I know. You're like, what is going on?
Like, bro, you just got Tommy John at like 26 years old. He's like, "That's fine. I still throw 100. What's up?"
Right. We're like, "Oh, and we're gonna take your sticky." He's like, "Okay." And I'm just gonna hit 30 home runs now. You're like, oh, this is so retarded. He's fucking
fun to watch. So I don't know if you play games or not, but I got MLB The Show a while back, and I just made myself like a two-way player like Ohtani, and it's so much fun. Like, such a great game. Oh man, hell of a catch, Greg. Lamont Wade Jr. Like, how can you not love this Giants team? This is great. They're gonna win the World Series this year. It's gonna be so much fucking fun, and I'm gonna be there. Just saying.
You have fun with that, okay?
All right, I will have fun with that while you never mind. I'm not gonna check the
suffer through another Mariners shit season.
Do they what is it with the do they have like an owner that doesn't give a fuck or what? What is it?
They had an owner that just didn't give a shit.
That's an awesome city. Like, their stadiums, their sport. Like, I remember walking by, like, because we went out there so I had a 6-week cycle break while I was a drill sergeant at Benning, and they sent us out to Lewis to do LDAC, and we went down to Seattle for a weekend. I just remember walking by this Mariner Stadium. I was like, this is fucking beautiful. That's an amazing place to play.
Yeah. But they had an owner that didn't care. And then they had a series of really terrible presidents and general managers. But now we have a good general manager. We have a good manager. And we have a great young group. They just did what the Astros did. They just said, screw it. We're going to tear everything down to the studs, and we're just going to rebuild the minor league system, and then we're going to go from there. So
got that Seager dude. Seager's good. I saw his brother play.
Old Siegs.
Yeah, I saw Corey Seager play when he was in AAA down in Rancho Cucamonga, where my brother lives. Saw him. He hit 2 home runs that night. One of them I don't think's landed yet. I just remember, like, holy fuck, that was. And then he was the rookie of the year next year for the Dodgers. And he's hurt this year, so whatever. Yeah, but no, I didn't realize his brother was a Mariner, and he still is. So that's cool. No, I would. So there's. So I'm going next month to Chicago to watch a game in Wrigley Field, which I've never been to, but the Giants are showing up, so it's gonna be fun.
Nice.
I'm gonna watch the Giants with my daughter in Chicago, but it's gonna be even more fun because Chris Bryant's now on the Giants, so he's making his first return to Chicago.
That's so amazing.
I can't wait to see that reception. Oh shit, that's not good. Anyway, but no, one of the others, one of the stadiums I want to go see a game in is obviously I really don't want to go to the trash of LA and see a Dodgers game, but I kind of feel like I should just when the Giants are there. But I'm not going to wear any Giants because I'm not trying to get stabbed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely don't want to get stabbed.
But I want to go see a Mariners game because it just looks so fucking cool up there.
It's a great stadium. Although the new Texas Rangers stadium, oh my gosh, it's amazing.
It does look like there's so many cool stadiums right now, like Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Colorado. Well, Colorado's not new, but it looks like they've added on to it. Arizona's looks fucking cool as shit. The Miami one, there's a lot of cool shit. Like, I don't know when they're gonna get the Rays a stadium. I still from the time I was playing, where the Rays play is the old Thunderdome where the Tampa Bay Lightning's hockey team used to play. I went to a hockey game in middle school in that stadium where the Rays play now. That is not a fucking baseball stadium. That's
God, it's amazing.
Like, Miami was able to get a stadium before the Rays. Like, at least the Rays are good, and you make them play inside this fucking renovated dump of an arena where they play baseball. It makes no sense. I don't know how that team wins every year, because if I was a Ray, I'd be like, I need the first free agent contract offered to me out of this fucking dump. This is embarrassing. It's not a Major League Baseball stadium.
It's not.
And if it wasn't for analytics, the Rays would have won last year, because you know what? Blake, whoever that fucking manager is in Tampa,
took him out. I can't believe he took him out.
Blake Snell left too. I'm like, he's like, fuck this. I'm going to the.
He was like,
God, I hate analytics. I swear to God, I hate it. It's the dumbest thing ever, because there's no equation to account for the human in the moment. There's no human in the moment equation, Greg, unless I've missed it in math, which I suck at. I'm pretty sure I can't account for how Greg's going to act with a 3-2 count in the bottom of the ninth. He might just hit a fucking home run, but you know what? The stats say we need to take him out. because
I need to take him out.
oh wait, he's
really bad at lefties.
he's thrown 94 pitches, and his 95th pitch tends to be a ball. So we need to take him. God, fucking Moneyball. Fuck that stupid sport. Or not sport, but that concept. Oh, hell of a play there, Chris Bryant. Oh boy. Welcome to San Francisco. Anyway, all right. So now let's get into the final chapter of tonight's conversation. You have taken on a role recently, and we can talk about this. Yes,
we can talk about it now.
Stocking Mill Coffee, which I hope to hope to be a part of one day in the future myself. But so tell us about it. What the fuck are you going to be doing for this high speed brand of caffeinated coffee deliverance?
I'm going to continue to make wonderful ads with more male nudity, as I'm sure most of you have watched. You're welcome.
If not, you should, and he will soon tell us where you can watch that at.
Me and Eddie have just been talking back and forth for a while now, and he's just kind of like, dude, I want to get you on, and
he's a good dude.
We can do this, and I was like, oh, dude, I'm down. Like, fuck BRCC. Obviously, Stocking Mill is going to be way better for you, and they're not going to stab you in the back. So there's that.
So catch that. All right. So for those who don't know, what is BRCC?
Oh, Black Rifle Coffee. For those people that are uninformed.
Yeah. So Black Rifle Coffee.
I used to be a huge fan too, and then
I think a lot of people used to be a huge fan. I still see it getting ordered in my office. Oh, Greg froze. So while he unfreezes, Greg said he used to be a big fan. So are you back? He's back. All right. And then
I'm back.
So, I mean, the only reason I got involved, I won't get involved with them.
Yeah.
I got involved with Grifter Lash.
Yes.
I just,
good Lord.
I can't, and I'm not going to do it tonight, but so what is the issue that's kind of come about lately with Black Rifle Coffee? In like an easy to digest manner for people who aren't following this shit like we do on Twitter.
Right. So Kyle Rittenhouse, after he was let out of jail and
Kenosha, Wisconsin,
he wore a Black Rifle.
Yes.
Yeah. After he shot those a pedo and a commie.
Hell yeah.
Two
American hero.
Pedo. Yeah. American hero. Sainted one.
Doing the Lord's work in Wisconsin.
Yeah. So he wore a Black Rifle Coffee shirt, and they just like kind of like threw him to the side and said, we're hands off. We're not sponsored by him. There was some confusion about whether or not he was sponsored by Black Rifle, but I mean,
which is a fair question.
T-shirt, which is a totally fair question. The way Eli Schiffer made it sound like whatever. But they washed their hands of it, and everybody kind of was just like, well, you built your entire brand off of defending 2A, and the kid,
a Black Rifle.
Literally. The kid is on video defending his life and super hands off, and we don't sponsor him. And I'm not saying you got to sponsor him, but
yeah, exactly. You
don't have to at all. But the big pushback, and then the response from the credit card processors and the corporations were like, hey, you can't do anything with him. And they were kind of like, okay, we won't. And then the New York Times article came out, what was it, 3 weeks ago, or whatever that was.
Yeah.
And that's when the whole St. Michael thing came up, where they said that somebody in DOD said that white supremacists were using it or something to that effect, which is insane that you would give terrible people power over what you can and can't like, which if you're going to do that, then we're just going to get 1,000 more 4chan trolls with the OK sign or the 3 point or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Which is like, this is so stupid. Like, Hitler was a vegetarian. Does it make all vegetarians Hitler? No, it doesn't. Okay. This is a stupid conversation. What are we doing? Like, I'm sorry, but if you build your entire brand and everything about, middle finger to the man, we're going to support 2A. And then the moment somebody exercises their rights to defend themselves with literally an AR-15, and you're completely hands off and back away from the situation, just because you got corporate pressure, That's pretty sad, especially from a company that said that they would pay races to go away. I mean, if you're going to pay races to go away, then you should pay corporations that aren't going to, stand by you, push them away too. Then put your money where your mouth is. It's not hard.
Isn't that the weird? That's like the weird byproduct, isn't it? It's like it's the pressure that they probably received internally. But
yeah, I mean,
also created by the fact that you included people who didn't align with what you originally set out to do.
exactly.
Which I can, like, look, I don't think anyone, whatever, and maybe Stock and Mill is blessed enough to one day occupy that same space and where those hard decisions are going to be made. But this is if we break it down, Greg, because you and I know, like, right, what does the Army have? They have the call, right, the Center for Army Lessons Learned. Well, this is a case study that I hope we're all learning from, because when you bring people, because they're great at what they do, right? They're great at business, or they're great at the direction of leading companies and all that stuff. Well, if they don't align with what your core values are and your at its very core mission statement is, this is what you're probably going to run into, right? It's what in the military we refer to as second and third order effects, right? Like, I make this decision today, well, what happens tomorrow and what happens a month from then? And that's what those motherfuckers ran into. And I don't feel sorry for them for one bit, because you did it to yourself, bro.
You did it to yourself.
You did it to yourself.
You did it to yourself. And now you got
Grifter for
Chris Lash mopping it up. Yeah, just lapping it up.
God,
I didn't mean to destroy all of our timelines the other day, but
no, that was great. It was worth his.
I mean, I didn't tag him on purpose, because I've tagged him in stuff before, and then his little minions, dick suckers, just destroy everything. You're just like, oh, this is so annoying. So that's why I didn't tag him on purpose, because I just wanted to make fun of it.
I think Red said, and it may have been before you jumped in the group, but I think Red was just like, I've never seen someone with such a bad personality. And I think it's like, I tried to like view everything from that lens going forward. And I just like sat back and observed a lot of things. I'm just like, without his wife, man. And don't get me wrong. I'm way out of my weight class with my girl, but I'm just like, dude, you don't even have a personality. Like you regurgitate like this bumper sticker level of conservative thought, which is not original. There's no depth or nuance. And fucking Hannity already capitalized off that shit a long time ago. So, bro, you missed your window, and you're never going to be that. Like, I had a friend once upon a time who said, Hannity spits out dumbed down conservatism. And it's true. That's what he does. Yeah. And Lash is like an even dumber version of that. And it's like, bro, you don't offer any original thought. Like, your wife is capitalizing on the fact that she's a good looking woman and she is a conservative. And that's all, that.
Yeah. I mean, she's relatively smart, and
that's all. They got all that successful sometimes. But I mean, how do the fuck, you know what? I'm just trying to figure out, like, we go back to Greg's original story. Like, he got his wife pregnant 7 years younger than him. And like Lash is like 9 years younger or 9 years older than her. And I'm just thinking, I'm just doing the math. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just saying, like, maybe your wife just feels guilty and she stays with you, but I don't know. Cause you don't seem to be doing it, bro. I don't know. Don't like the dude.
Growing that dumbass mustache.
Like, how is that something you want to stick with? That's not catching on. You're not influencing other people to like pick back up the fucking handlebar mustache. Anyway, so when I go and promote this, I'm not even going to mention the fact that we bashed on that dude, because he's got his.
That's fine.
Yeah, he's whatever.
He does.
He if ever wants to come on the show and debate, happily to do it. But anyway, all right. So that's Stock and Mill coffee. So hey, stockandmillcoffee.com. Answer the question on the landing page the right way. The website is under construction, but you're going to find out what I meant by that statement very quickly as soon as you get on that website. And if you answer incorrectly, because there's only one right answer.
There is only one right answer.
I'm not going to spoil the question, but there's only one right answer. And if you find a second screen that doesn't align with what you were expecting, you're wrong. You're just wrong.
You made poor choices.
So yeah, is there anything else more that you can talk about with that? Or is this kind of like a wait and see what's going to take place next? Or is there anything?
Yeah, we're just, there's steps and process, and, there's a lot more to come, especially I think 2022 is really going to be the year that, huge growth, outbreaking, It's
pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm very excited about it.
Yep. I am too. yeah, I just think it's been pretty cool to watch it take off, and going back to the moment where kind of you could see like that was the flashpoint and where it's gotten.
Yeah.
And like that's pretty fucking cool. Like, yeah, a lot of respect to Eddie because, like I said, he's a good dude. He's a really good dude. So anyway, Stock and Mill Coffee. If you want to go check that out, I recommend highly what was the one? It was Bayonet is my favorite. Wig Splitter kind of comes in second. There's a lot of shit.
How dare you?
There's a lot of shit I haven't tried yet. I just like Bayonet.
Okay.
You know, Bayonet.
Right,
I just
fair.
love that picture of the fucking. The fucking pictures are what's great. Oh,
they're great.
kicked my cat. I'm sorry, bro. Yeah, the pictures are fucking like the artwork. I don't know. Do you know who does the artwork?
Eddie does it all.
Eddie does it all,
Yeah.
really? Wow, that's pretty
Yeah.
fucking cool. it's actually pretty funny because it almost like the Bayonet one. It almost reminds me of like a weird South Parky kind of like feel to it.
Yeah.
It just like if South Park would do the American Revolution, I think like that would be
That would be it right there.
like I just want to see like a South Park animation of George Washington crossing the Delaware, like with the hatchet, like just fucking
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Good shit. All right. So check out stockandmillcoffee.com. You can find Greg on Twitter at where?
The real Greg. So GREGGD.
2 G's. The
Yeah.
real Greg, 2 G's with a D. All right. And this is Greg. Say your last name again for me, sir.
Diacogiannis.
That is Diacogiannis. And I am Eric Banazeski. And tonight I drank Bell Mead Reserve Bourbon. And you can find us on Twitter at EricTWBB. And we'll do this next week. Hopefully we got Terry Shepard. So I'm going to throw that out there into the in the atmosphere and the universe and see what happens because he should have been on here by now. So Terry, I'm looking at you, buddy. And so is the Possum King. Remember that. All right. All right, Greg. Thanks for joining us, bud.
Not a problem, boss.
All right. There will be bourbon.